What are you doing, Real Madrid? How far are you planning to go? After another season without a major trophy, the biggest club in football history isn't looking for small improvements. They're preparing a response so aggressive that it's already making the rest of Europe nervous. Real Madrid want their throne back, and judging by this transfer window, they're willing to do absolutely anything to get it. Ibrahima Konate, Marc Cucurella, Bernardo Silva, Denzel Dumfries, and then the Galactico signing that has completely changed everything. Yan Diamande.
Yan Diamande to Real Madrid. Here we go. Deal done for the Ivorian winger to join Real Madrid in a transfer move that is gonna be worth more than 100 million euros.
Real Madrid reached an agreement with RB Leipzig for a fee worth over 100 million euros, making one of the biggest statements of the summer. What's truly frightening isn't just the price tag, it's the player they're buying. Last season was Diamande's first full campaign as a top-level professional in the Bundesliga, and he immediately established himself as the best young player in German football. Just a year earlier, it almost seemed impossible. He had only made his senior debut for Leganes in March 2025. Fast forward one season, and he finished with 21 combined goals and assists for the third best team in Germany. Now, before even turning 20 years old, he's joining the biggest club in football history. That alone tells you the level of talent Real Madrid believe they've secured. And once you understand how he plays, the move becomes even scarier. Diamande isn't just another explosive winger. He can play on either flank with equal comfort. Last season, he started mainly on the left for RB Leipzig, before spending a large part of the campaign terrorising defenders from the right. At the 2026 World Cup with Ivory Coast, the numbers didn't fully reflect his performances, but the underlying displays were outstanding. Across the group stage alone, he created 10 chances for his teammates, yet poor finishing meant those opportunities produced only a single assist. The statistics don't tell the whole story. His biggest strengths are much harder to measure. He constantly creates numerical superiority against low defensive blocks. His counter-pressing intensity is relentless. His decision-making inside the final third is remarkably mature for someone his age. He's clinical in front of goal, thrives under pressure, and has already shown the mentality needed to adapt to the highest level of football. In other words, he's exactly the type of player Jose Mourinho loves building around. Now imagine the problem this creates for Barcelona and for the rest of Europe, because Real Madrid can now line up with Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, and Yan Diamande leading the attack. A front line overflowing with pace, creativity, goals, and 1-versus-1 ability. On paper, it already has every ingredient needed to become the best attacking trio in world football. But here's the scary part. Florentino Perez isn't finished yet. Real Madrid continue to be heavily linked with Alessandro Bastoni. World Cup winning Spain captain Rodri is another dream target who has repeatedly been mentioned as a player eager to wear the famous white shirt. Then there's Endrick, whose development could completely change under Mourinho's management. And perhaps the biggest question of all, what does the arrival of Yan Diamande mean for Vinicius Jr.'s future? Because this isn't a normal Real Madrid rebuild. This feels like the birth of a new generation of Galacticos, a squad designed not simply to avoid another trophyless season, but to crush Hansi Flick's Barcelona, to reclaim Spain, to conquer Europe, and to remind the football world exactly who sits at the top of the game's food chain. Don't believe me? Take a look at this. To understand why this new Real Madrid is terrifying Europe, you first have to understand something about the club itself. Real Madrid have never responded to failure by standing still. Every great era in their history has been born from a crisis. It started in the 1950s, when Santiago Bernabeu completely changed football by gathering the best players on the planet under one badge. Alfredo Di Stefano became the heartbeat of the team, a footballer capable of defending, creating and scoring with equal brilliance. Alongside him came Ferenc Puskas' lethal left foot and Paco Gento's unstoppable pace down the wing. Together they built the first true football dynasty, winning 5 consecutive European Cups between 1956 and 1960, alongside 4 league titles and an Intercontinental Cup. Their masterpiece came in Glasgow, where they dismantled Eintracht Frankfurt 7-3 in what many still consider the greatest European Cup final ever played. More than 50 years later, history repeated itself. Between 2014 and 2018, Real Madrid built another dynasty that turned the Champions League into their own private competition. Cristiano Ronaldo became the face of an era, delivering whenever the lights shone brightest. Behind him operated perhaps the greatest midfield trio football has ever seen. Toni Kroos controlling every rhythm, Luka Modric creating magic between the lines, and Casemiro destroying everything without the ball. Add Sergio Ramos's unmatched leadership forever, immortalised by his dramatic 93rd minute equaliser in Lisbon. And the result was extraordinary. Under Carlo Ancelotti and later under Zinedine Zidane, Real Madrid won 4 Champions Leagues in 5 seasons, along with LaLiga, the Copa del Rey, 3 UEFA Super Cups, 3 Club World Cups, and a Spanish Super Cup. When that legendary generation finally began to fade, many believed the dynasty was over. Instead, Real Madrid reinvented themselves again. Between 2021 and 2024, Carlo Ancelotti oversaw another remarkable transition. Karim Benzema produced the greatest football of his career, while a new generation led by Vinicius Jr., Federico Valverde, Eduardo Camavinga, and Jude Bellingham took control. 2 more Champions Leagues, 2 league titles, another Copa del Rey, 2 Spanish Super Cups, and another UEFA Super Cup followed. But trophies alone don't explain that era. The Bernabeu became something almost impossible to describe. Night after night, Real Madrid pulled off comebacks that defied logic. No matter the scoreline, no matter the opponent, they simply refused to believe they could lose. Wearing the white shirt seemed to give them the ability to control not only football matches, but time itself. Then, everything fell apart. The 2024-25 season proved that even the greatest empires eventually crack. Kylian Mbappe finally arrived in Madrid, and what looked like the beginning of another dominant era quickly exposed a completely different problem. Toni Kroos's retirement left a hole nobody could fill. Real Madrid suddenly lost their rhythm, their control, and their identity in midfield. Carlo Ancelotti searched desperately for solutions, but nothing worked. Meanwhile, Hansi Flick's Barcelona punished every weakness. They beat Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup final, then defeated them again in the Copa del Rey final, and to complete one of the darkest years in recent club history, Real Madrid suffered a humiliating defeat to Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup semi-finals, exposing a squad that had completely lost its direction. If that season raised questions, the following campaign answered them in the worst possible way. After Ancelotti's departure, Xabi Alonso arrived promising a tactical revolution. Instead, the dressing room collapsed. Tensions with Vinicius Jr. and growing frustration inside the squad created an atmosphere that quickly became unsustainable. On the pitch, things only got worse. Barcelona defeated Real Madrid once again in the 2025-26 Spanish Super Cup final, completing 3 victories from 3 direct finals between the two clubs. They later dominated the decisive Clásico that effectively sealed another La Liga title. The humiliation didn't stop there. Real Madrid were knocked out of the Copa del Rey by Segunda Division side Albacete. Bayern Munich ended their Champions League dream. Xabi Alonso resigned. Alvaro Arbeloa stepped in as an emergency replacement. Nothing changed. For the first time in decades, the fear surrounding the Bernabeu had disappeared. Real Madrid weren't simply losing, they had stopped looking like Real Madrid. So after 2 disastrous seasons, losing La Liga to Barcelona, repeatedly falling in direct finals against their greatest rivals, and suffering back-to-back failures in Europe, Florentino Perez went back to the philosophy that built this club in the first place, the philosophy of Santiago Bernabeu. When Real Madrid fall, they don't rebuild slowly, they sign the very best players in the world. But this time Florentino added something even more dangerous. He didn't just recruit world-class footballers, he recruited the man who had already proven he could extinguish one of the greatest Barcelona teams football has ever seen, Jose Mourinho, a manager built for chaos, a winner built for pressure. And alongside him, a new generation of Galacticos. On paper it looks spectacular. In reality, it could become something far more frightening. Jose Mourinho's biggest change at Real Madrid won't be tactical, it will be philosophical.
Y aquí manda Mourinho. Y creo que él mismo lo ha dicho, no va a venir a cortar cabezas. Creo que no sería bueno, pero sí dejar las cosas claras. Porque la plantilla del Madrid tiene un potencial espectacular, porque son gente joven y porque Mourinho tiene que volver a hacerles creer que pueden ganar, a que tengan esa ambición otra vez. Y al final Mourinho es un tío que ha ganado, es un ganador, lleva 23 o 24 años ganando. Entonces creo que era la mejor opción, me gusta mucho Mourinho y estoy muy ilusionado con él.
After 2 seasons of dominating possession without truly controlling matches, Mourinho wants a team that attacks with purpose. His football is direct, vertical, and ruthless. Every pass must move the team closer to goal. His trusted 4-2-3-1 will return, with Aurélien Tchouaméni protecting the defence and Federico Valverde given the freedom to break lines and attack the box. But if there's one player who perfectly completes that midfield, it's Rodri. There may not be a better fit for Mourinho's system. Rodri controls the tempo better than anyone, knowing exactly when to slow the game down or accelerate it. He always offers an outlet during the build-up, prevents sterile possession, and constantly positions himself to stop counterattacks before they begin. His anticipation, defensive intelligence, and ability to adapt to both deep blocks and high pressing make him the complete midfielder. Pep Guardiola predicted after the World Cup that the best version of Rodri was still to come.
Before, no. Rodri will be good, in the World Cup with Spain. In the World Cup will be the best Rodri, in the next season will be the best Rodri.
He was right. Rodri led Spain to the 2026 World Cup. winning player of the tournament after completing 93% of his passes, rising to 95.3% in the final against Argentina. He completed over 650 passes, the highest total ever recorded in a single World Cup, surpassing both his own Qatar 2022 mark and Xavi's 2010 record, while also completing 170 passes in the final third. Add to that the level that won him the Ballon d'Or 9 goals, 15 assists, and the winning goal in a Champions League final, and Madrid would finally recover the balance they have lacked since Toni Kroos retired. Ahead of him, Jude Bellingham will be Mourinho's attacking midfielder, but also his first defender after losing possession. He'll lead the press before linking midfield and attack. His form suggests he's ready. At the 2026 World Cup, he broke England's single tournament scoring record with 7 goals, delivering against Mexico,
England coming again, it's Harry Kane and Bellingham again!
Norway, Argentina and
Bellingham's off on a run now, down the left-hand side, still going Bellingham.
France. Recalling the player who produced 23 goals and 13 assists in his debut Madrid season while winning La Liga, the Champions League and the Spanish Super Cup. On the right, Bernardo Silva and Arda Güler will compete for a place. Bernardo's versatility is exactly what Mourinho values. He can play wide, as an interior or deeper in midfield, helping solve Madrid's long-standing creativity issues. Whether Mourinho uses 4 midfielders or a 3-man midfield, Bernardo gives him tactical flexibility that very few players can match. Then comes Madrid's biggest problem, the defence. After conceding 64 goals in 56 matches last season, Florentino Perez rebuilt the backline by signing Ibrahima Konate, Denzel Dumfries and Marc Cucurella. Among them, Cucurella could be the most important. Since Marcelo left, Madrid have never truly replaced him. Alvaro Carreras and Fran Garcia couldn't provide the defensive security the team needed. Cucurella can. He isn't spectacular, he's reliable, aggressive, tactically intelligent, outstanding in 1-versus-1 situations, and capable of playing as a left-back, left centre-back, or midfielder. He perfectly fits Mourinho's football. His 2026 World Cup confirmed it. Cucurella started all 8 matches, helped Spain concede just 1 goal, registered 3 assists, and defended with remarkable consistency, receiving only 1 yellow card. Against France's frightening front 4 of Mbappé, Olise, Dombele and Doué, he largely neutralised Olise and Dombele, finishing with 7 defensive contributions, 3 successful tackles, multiple recoveries and outstanding recovery speed. Going forward, he offers dangerous overlaps, quality crossing and intelligent passing, making him one of the most complete modern fullbacks. Konate, meanwhile, is a different case. Physically, he's almost the perfect centre-back. Dominant in the air, extremely quick over long distances and ideal for defending with a high line, he fits Mourinho's style perfectly. The concern is concentration. At Liverpool, he was responsible for several costly defensive errors, turning comfortable situations into avoidable goals. If Mourinho eliminates those mistakes, Madrid will have one of Europe's best defenders. If not, centre-back could remain the team's biggest weakness. And then there's the attack. If Mourinho succeeds in creating balance behind them, with Rodri, Bellingham and Bernardo supplying the creativity, then a front line led by Yan Diamande, Kylian Mbappé and Bellingham arriving from midfield has every ingredient to become the most devastating attacking force in European football. That's the frightening part. Real Madrid aren't simply building a stronger squad, they're trying to build the next dynasty. Many people have tried to downplay Real Madrid's signing of Yan Diamande, arguing that Michael Olise was the player they really needed. But the reality is very different. Yan Diamande looks like he was built specifically for Jose Mourinho's football. Don't believe me? Take a look at this. The biggest strength of the 19-year-old isn't just his pace or his ability to decide matches, it's his versatility. He can play on either wing with the same level of danger, something Mourinho has always valued. That flexibility will allow him to constantly rotate positions with Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappé, and even Jude Bellingham, making Madrid's attack far more unpredictable than it has been in recent years. He's also exactly the type of winger Real Madrid have been missing against La Liga's low blocks. His movement creates numerical superiority out wide, opens space through intelligent runs and, perhaps most importantly, gives Mourinho another relentless presser. Despite being only 19 years old, Diamande already has the physicality and aggression to immediately counter-press after losing possession, allowing Madrid to recover the ball and launch another attack within seconds. Of course, he isn't the finished product. His World Cup with Ivory Coast showed that. He managed just 1 assist despite constantly creating danger, largely because his final decision-making still lacks consistency. But that's completely normal. He's only beginning his development, and that's exactly what makes him so frightening. Because if this is his level at 19, Imagine what Mourinho could turn him into. Even more importantly, Diamande's arrival doesn't necessarily mean Vinicius Jr. leaves. If anything, it could make Madrid even stronger. Despite speculation linking him with Arsenal, Florentino Perez still sees Vinicius as one of the club's untouchable players. The dressing room knows he's capable of deciding any match in one moment of brilliance, and after finishing the 2025-26 season with 22 goals and 14 assists, the Brazilian has made it clear that he wants to stay in Madrid. Now imagine that front line. On the left, Vinicius Jr., Brazil's best player at the World Cup after producing 4 goals and 1 assist. On the right, Yan Diamande, the Bundesliga's Young Player of the Year after finishing with 12 goals and 9 assists. And through the middle, Kylian Mbappe, the all-time leading World Cup goalscorer, coming off a tournament with 10 goals and a season of 58 goals for club and country, while finishing as the top scorer in La Liga, the Champions League and the World Cup. If those three click together, Real Madrid could have the most dangerous attack in world football. But that's not even the scariest part. Look at the depth behind them. Endrick returns from Lyon after contributing 8 goals and 8 assists in just 21 matches, determined to convince Mourinho that he deserves a place in the rotation. Gonzalo has also impressed throughout the summer with his movement inside the box, giving Madrid a completely different striker profile and strengthening his chances of staying, despite Fulham's interest. Then there's Brahim Diaz, arriving full of confidence after starring for Morocco and ready to fight for every minute, despite the increased competition. That's why Real Madrid feels different. This isn't simply a squad full of stars, it's a new generation of Galacticos built for Jose Mourinho. And if Hansi Flick's Barcelona and the rest of Europe already had problems, they're about to start having nightmares.